like user load. Next, EPS, average response time, say 90% response time, response time. I'll even discuss this particular, don't worry about this as of now. So now we'll discuss about performance matrices. First I will speak, then I'll give you a note. So basically, performance metrics. These are the units of measurement for client, server, and network statistics. Like when we have an agreement, when a tester have an agreement with the client, like this all the business scenario will be performing, or these are the critical business flow. As a tester, I am ensuring that I'll be undergoing with all this activity, and what type of test I'll be performing on this particular application depending on the client requirement. If we have decided, like on mutual agreement, we'll perform like load test, endurance test, as of now until load test and endurance test. So definitely our key KPIs or matrices on the client matrix side or server side must meet. It should not be high during the testing period. Like suppose for CPU, it should not spike more than 60 percentage. Memory, it should not in the where during the testing environment, it should not be spiked more than 60 percentage. So network, we should use the high full bandwidth during the performance testing, so that there is no issue of the network or no glitch, and we will ensure all the things like, and these are the key KPIs or key performance metrics which we ensure during the test. So these are the key KPIs or metrics of measurement for client, server, and database. Server like web and DB, and then we'll even go for network issue. So now, as you understand, two things we'll discuss now on transaction. Transaction is nothing but a end user action, critical end user action that represents the real user activity on the application. Suppose I'll just give an example. Let's see, what is the business transaction. I want to launch the google.com. So now, when once I this is real user activity I am performing, right? Whenever I type the URL on the URL bar, my Google page has been launched, and this is the one of the transaction end-to-end flow. Suppose next I want to perform Google search. Let's see, I want to see shopping websites. This is one more transaction, end-to-end transaction. So whenever we perform any kind of operation or any real user activity, what all resources it is related to the web page, right? Everything it gets recorded while recording the events. This all are events. Like this is the first event, second event, third event. Whenever I write shopping website, it will give some search query. It will search in the database and provide me with the results. So definitely, like these are the one critical business transaction. Transactions. And now we will see about transaction. It is a set of end user actions that represent the real user activity on the application. Now, for example, I have a scenario. Let's see one scenario. First, launch the Google web page. Second, search shopping. Enter type shopping websites and make a Google search. So I have these two. This is the one more. This is the scenario, and this is transaction one. This particular thing is transaction one, and this particular thing is transaction two. So end-to-end transaction. Till the web page is loaded, this will comes under, and all the events and the resources related to that particular web page is one particular transaction. Like a request is not a transaction. A single request is not a transaction. It can be a combination of single or a multiple web request. So definitely, when I show you this, let us take one more example. Let's inspect. We'll go to the network, and once we type google.com. So when when we see google.com and we stop the recording, see the beside related to this particular request, this get https www.google.com will get all the response header, request header, and everything. Even we can get the response as well. This is the response of Google page when we launch this particular day. We can see the timing as well, like when the request was started from the client, when we first whenever, and when the how much time our request sent, and TTFP, time to first buffer, like when was the first byte it is received from the so it is sent from the client to the server, and it is received, so it took 122.79 millisecond, and how much time it took for content download, 23. So overall it took 156.64 millisecond. So it is very less, very less. It is, so our application is giving a very quicker response. So definitely, like definitely this is a very good transaction. And when I was talking about the transactions, right? It can be a single request, or it can be combination of multiple requests. So whenever you launch this particular page, you could see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, approx, like there are 20 or 25 requests, sub requests related to this particular web page. Or let's see, like this all logos will also be there, png files, js files, everything will come during this thing. So now, as we have already we have seen a particular scenario for a transaction, we'll discuss for other and terminologies as well. Like we'll understand the base business process. Okay, so now business process. So what is a business process? A business process is a sequence of steps that represent a use case or a business function. It includes one or more transaction. Suppose I am taking a scenario. First scenario, I have my client has decided that I will be testing the application under few critical business scenario. Like let's take an online application. For one business scenario will be buy the product. Second business scenario will be search the order ID. Ready. Third, third thing is right one. Uh, Cancel the order. So these are the particular scenarios. Business. These are the business processes which I'll be performing in the for that particular application. So again, it is a combination of this all business scenario. This all business scenario is a combination of multiple transaction. Again, like in the buy the product, I have multiple transaction. I will have launch the application, then log in the application. I'll search some product, and then I will add the product in the cart, and then I'll directly buy the product. This is the one particular scenario. Let's take second scenario. Launch the application, log in the application, and then search the order ID. Go to the order page and look for the order IDs what you have purchased. So this is one particular second scenario. Third scenario is launch the application, log into the application, and then we will cancel that particular order. So once we cancel that particular order, this is the third scenario. So definitely depending on the mutual agreement of the client, we will have few scenarios like 5, 10, 15, or 16 scenarios. It will be tested, and we'll do performance testing for that particular scenario. So these all things are one business process. So now, as we have seen the particular business process, we'll see a scenario. So as I have already covered, this business scenario is a combination of multiple transaction. So scenario. So, what is scenario? Scenario is a collection of business processes based on the performance requirement. A scenario is a window where you can define number of users, test duration, user running pattern, etc. Along which business process scenario is a creation also called as workload modeling. So in this scenario, you'll put a number of business process are associated. So in this scenario, number of business process are associated, and you will design the scenario based on number of users and like all the business process are associated to this particular scenario, and you will decide the test type, test duration, and etc. Normally workload modeling comes into picture. I'll discuss this thing about when I cover for PDLC life cycle. I'll even describe this particular workload modelings and why it is used. So I think you might have already got a idea about V users. So I'm not describing now anything. We users, as I have already discussed in this class, please have please and view that particular session so that you can understand. And so, as of now, I'm skipping this particular thing. We users. So we users is nothing but it will emulates the real world user activity, and it is equals to whatever the real user activity will perform the same type of same activity will be performed by V users. Okay, next again protocol. So as I discussed in my previous class, protocol is nothing but a method of communication between a client and the server. It is depending on the selection of protocol, the language and technology of the application. Like depending on the application and the language and technology, we choose that particular protocol. I'll give a very good example to understand protocol. Okay, this is a very good example. Let's see. This is a school. And these are students 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So let's see, like in a school, there are different classes. Like we have different classes: class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4, class 4. Let's see. Class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4, class 5, class 6, class 7. So let's see, we have classes. Based on the classes, we the students they come to school like normally. The based on the classes, the timing will vary. Like one, suppose this class 1 student, for class 1 to class 2, 3, 4, the class 1, class 2 students will come, and they'll leave the school for, they'll study for at least 3 hours. And let's see, these two classes, they will study for 5 hours. And let's see, this class, they will have class session for 8 hours. So this is nothing but a protocol. Like the students have to come to the school, and they have to attend all the session which will be happening in the class. So it is a direct communication to a student and like they are having a particular agreement. Like the student should come, they should be on time, and they should not leave before time. So this is some kind of protocol the students are following now. So when we take a particular example on, when we take a example of client and a server, for a data exchange to happen, they need to see what all technologies your server is using. Like in the server. Okay. Based on the technology, what we will decide the protocols. Tester decide the protocols. Client server just decides the protocol based on the technology used in the application. We decide the protocol, what all protocols or method of communication. Like suppose it is supporting HTTP method for the data transfer to happen between client and server, then we will use HTTP protocol. Now, so you have got the idea, the method of communication between a client and the server. The selection of the protocol depends on the type of technology which is used in particular application. It may be WebEx, Web HTTP, HTML, or Citrix, or RTE, it is remote terminal emulation, or AJAX, or True Client. So I've discussed protocol. Now load generator. Load generator is nothing, is a machine which generates the virtual user load. So this is enough, I think so, as I have already described on few back sometime. So definitely you might have a very good idea about load generator and how it generates. So these are the machine used to generate virtual users. Now controller. So controller is nothing but the scenario where we design the scenario, where we monitor the test, run the test execution, everything where we organize, drives and manages or and monitors the performance test. So normally the controller communicates with the load generators during the test via agent. As I have discussed in my class, load generator. This machine generates the virtual user load as per the requirement. During the test execution, controller distributes each user in the scenario to a load generator. It communicates with the agent. Agent is what nothing but it sets up a communication between the controller and the load generator. Once the communication is established, it generates depending on the LG configuration. It the users, the number of users may vary. Controller, method of communication between a client and a server. Next is controller. It manages, drives, or organize, manage, and monitors the performance test. It organizes, manages, drives, and monitors the performance test. Controller communicate with LG machine during the test. Controller communicates with LG machine during the test via agents. Agent is nothing but like I'll show you one example. Books, software. Suppose let's say app dynamics in. So you are seeing right. This is the DB agent. Like in the DB agent, the agent got installed in my machine. If I want to see whenever I want to monitor the test in App Dynamics, and I hosted this application in my Tomcat server. So whenever I run this application locally, uh, what will happen, this agent will collect all the matrices, all the data from the machine, and it sends to the controller, and the controller will populates the data. It will show the data in the UI in a better format in a, so that the people like us we can understand in the session. Let's see. Appwiz.cpl agents. So micro focus. I don't have installed here, but I have this agent like whenever. Just a second, guys. Okay, guys, what I'll do, I'll tomorrow I'll show you this particular agent and thing. Whenever I'll just you will have a better idea on that particular thing also. So when I go to App Dynamics, I'll just show you the logs as well. So this is the controller info. So normally this agent, when I run this particular agent, so let's see this PC Tomcat. Let's see. See, this all the agents like you have seen like App Dynamics agent, Java agents. Like this, all the agents are installed in my machine, and whenever I go and type localhost 8080, it is configured to that particular port. So once it is not yet started, Okay, guys, I'll just look into this issue once, then I can show you why I'm facing this kind of issue. So definitely, like, not a problem in this. There are definitely some of the files might have deleted. That's the reason I am not able to start my server, Tomcat server. So you, while running this thing, you might have got an idea, right? So when I'm starting this particular Tomcat server, you could see there is Java agent, and internally this all agents I have installed in the application, and this agent, whenever I run this particular application in my in the local, this agent collects the data from my machine, and it generates a log also. Let's see the logs. See, Java isn't. See, we are getting some argument exception. For the HTTP request, parsing error will be logged at debug level. Java LAN illegal argument exception, invalid characters found in method name. HTTP method must be token. Now I'll just verify this particular issue tomorrow, and I'll show you, like, I'll try to like this so basically we will not go deep into this. uh, just I was explaining about controller and agents, right? So that's the thing we have diverted here. So now, like, once we have discussed this thing, controller, now we come to one more thing. We'll discuss about iteration. So what is iteration? Iteration is a repetition of the same business process. Like when suppose in load runner, it has a flexibility to run for multiple iteration. Like we cannot in controller we have a flexibility to give n number of v users like virtual user load, but in load runner when we wanted to perform the same activity, we will run that particular business process for n number of iteration to test that particular to test the script with multiple test data so that it doesn't fail during the test execution. It is multiple iteration, number of runs. Now we'll discuss about now we'll discuss about pacing. Pacing is nothing but a delay between two iteration. If we don't put any, like, we will see that during the workload modeling, how can we calculate the pacing and all. But for basic knowledge as of now, there is some delay between two iteration. We don't If we don't put pacing, then there will be the when we run for like 1 hour or 2 hour run, the number of iteration will be more, and n number of we suppose will push some unnecessary load to the server which we don't expect, and our tps will also vary and will not meet that particular tps is nothing but transaction per second. Delay between two iteration. We don't push necessary load on the server. We don't want to push unnecessary load on the server. That's where pacing comes into picture. It is the delay between two iteration. So let's take mm, this is a scenario. Suppose l- let's see, launch, login, log out. This is one business process. I'll launch, login, log out. So if we complete this particular business process for, then we are able to complete for one iteration. Iteration one. Suppose the same activity we want to perform twice, thrice, three times. Then iteration two. Iteration three. Now between iteration 1 and iteration 2, between two iteration, we give pacing. Pacing. So pacing, pacing. We'll give some around let's take 30 seconds of pacing between two iteration. It will wait for to start the iteration 2. It will wait for 30 seconds, and then it will start our iteration 2. And then for iteration 2, once it complete that particular iteration, we have pacing, and then it starts the iteration 3. So this way, to avoid the unnecessary load, we use this concept called pacing. So now coming. to our next think time. Okay. Think time is nothing but a delay in two transaction. Suppose this is transaction 1, transaction 2, transaction 3, transaction 1, transaction 2, and transaction 3. This where think time comes into picture. Think time, think time. So we'll give some ideal like whenever there is between two transaction. Says suppose I am a real user, I launch the application, then I'll take something, I'll think about some time to do some operation like what I wanted to perform, and I'll wait for some time, and then only I'll do that particular. I simultaneously after launching, I'm not a robot that I'll after launching itself without taking any delay, I'll just directly log in and then I'll perform some activity and log out. This is not the behavior for a real user. So definitely there is some gap in between two transactions. The same process we want to replicate. That's the reason we introduced this concept called think time. Is it is the delay between two transactions. We simulate some delay as the real user does. So for simulating the same kind of behavior, we introduce this particular think time concept. Now what is correlation? I think this will be our last topic for today, and maybe we can continue for tomorrow. So let's see what is correlation. Correlation is a method to handle the dynamic values generated by the server. Like whenever we record any particular application, on that particular request, we get some of the dynamic tokens which is generated by the server. Each and every time when we replay that particular script, our that particular dynamic values get changes, like there is some session token, state token, request id, authorization token, everything it depends on the server, and each and every time that particular values it change. Suppose order id, for every order we the order id gets changed. So that particular thing we should handle in the applications for that particular script, so that it will not fail or it won't don't throw any kind of 400 or 500 error. This is the method to handle the dynamic values generated by the server. So normally in LR we have flexibility to use both manual and automatic correlation. Normally for automatic correlation, LR scans the recorded script and identify the dynamic values. For automatic correlation, LR normally scans the recorded script and identify the dynamic values. In case load runner unable to do so, we need to find out the dynamic values via a manual correlation. So, how we can do that one when we proceed with scripting, we'll look into it. And we can compare both the script like the first thing is we can record both the two scripts and we can compare what all values are dynamic so that we can get an idea that this particular, and due to experience now we can directly say this particular field is dynamic, this particular field is static, or so what is the value, or what are the things we need to parameterize everything, every concept. So today we have mostly covered some of the basic understanding on the tool, and we'll still cover a few more things. So hope you guys have a better understanding on this particular topic what we have discussed today. So let's continue for tomorrow and understand other related topic as well. So if you face any kind of doubt, then please reach me out. I'll surely help you. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining this class. Have a great day. Client load runner server. Example. decide.